how to change brakes on a 2007 CRV. And first you want to take the tire off. And then what do you do?
Okay, there'll be two bolts that hold on the caliper. They're 14 millimeter, so I'll loosen those off. Once you break them loose, it should come loose pretty good. It should come out easily.
What are you doing now?
Taking the caliper off so I can get the pads out.
That's a caliper?
Caliper, they have the two pistons, they're out. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to push those pistons in. Here are your old brake pads. They sit in the channel on the frame piece here. We'll take these pads out. As you can see, for the new pads, they're quite worn out.
Wow.
So definitely time to change those. We bought some premium brake pads, so the manufacturers of brake pads actually gave us new hardware, which is always a good thing because you can see from the new hardware how nice and clean and shiny it is compared to the roughness of the old. It just makes the pads slide easier when they're being applied and released. It just allows for better pad longevity, so it makes them last a little longer than they would if you used the old hardware. So go ahead and snap that in. And we have another one on top.
So how thick is a new brake pad?
Typically, that depends on manufacturer. This one's about a ½ inch or so for new material.
And how worn down was the other one?
They were worn down about 60 down to about 1/16 of an inch. So.
And when do you need to change them?
When you get down to about between a 1/16 and an eighth of an inch, you'll need to change those out. What you don't want is this steel backing hitting the steel rotor, because that will cause it to groove real bad, and you'll have to probably replace the rotor if it's prolonged. And you'll lose braking effort as well. I just gotta snap these in. They also came with new shims on the back of the new brake pads, which is kind of a nice thing. So let's put these new in. Now remember from the clips, these clips, the pads ride down against these. So when they go in, they kind of keep that clip keeps effort on the pad. So
Okay.
it keeps the pad from vibrating. That prevents it from squeaking and rattling around. So they're good to have. So it's a good application. We just got to push that against the spring to get these in. Now this inboard piece, you see the difference between the two. This is a squeak indicator. You can see how close it is. See how close it is?
Mm-hmm.
So when that piece of metal rides up against the rotor right here, that's a squeak indicator, a wear indicator, lets you know that your pads need to be replaced. But it's always a good thing to get them checked, because sometimes that's not real reliable, and they may be grinding into the steel backing before that would actually make the noise. So always get them checked periodically. Getting them checked when you rotate your tires is probably a good thing.
And how often should you have your tires rotated?
You should have your tires rotated about every 6,000 miles.
Yeah, we usually have it rotated at Costco. They have a lifetime, as long as you buy tires there, they have a lifetime rotation. See my brand new Bridgestone tires from Costco? Nice tread.
The center one's kind of a hard one to put in. They definitely come out a lot easier than they go back in.
So where are you putting it on the back there?
Yeah, the back pad. Okay, you got the back pad and it's up against the rotor nice and clean and flush. I'm going to do the outside pad.
And how do you do that? You just slide it in?
Got to kind of muscle it in a little bit. It can take a little bit of effort. So it's nice and even. It's in. Nice and flush on both sides. Even against the rotor. Not angled. Now we have to push back that piston. You notice I have two pistons here, and they have to be pushed back to make room for the new material, because as pads wear, these pistons come out to take the space of the wearing brake pad, so that they stay nice and close to the rotor. So now that I have this much material instead of that much material, I have to push back the piston to make room for that. Easiest tool for that would be a channel lock, or a C-clamp, I mean. So a C-clamp would work great for this. But the problem with a C-clamp is that I have a dual piston instead of a single piston. Sometimes you can push in one piston and the other one won't either, or it may actually start to come out on you. So I'm going to kind of ease it back by using pliers to prevent this from coming out, and just turn it real easy with my, as you can see, I'm using a couple fingers. Should go back real easy. If you're struggling to put this in, there's a problem. It should go back nice and easy. Until you feel it bottom out, it'll tighten up. It'll tighten up on you when it gets all the way bottomed out. You're all the way back.
And how long have you been changing brakes? What's your experience?
I've been changing brakes for about 30 years. Take the old pad out. Slide this back on.
So are you certified to change brakes?
I am. I am ASC certified.
Master certified?
Master certified.
And what is master certified?
That means I've passed all the tests and I have at least 2 years of experience.
You've been changing brakes for 30 years?
For 30 years.
So you must know what you're doing then.
I've done it a couple times. I snug up both and tighten both. Should slide back and forth a little bit, that's okay. Now we're going to apply the brakes, the seat caliper against the pads. It's important that you do that. What you really don't want to happen is that you forget this step. You put the tire back on, you go take it for a test drive, and then it takes a slop out of this. Your pedal might go down the floor a couple times before you actually can have brakes again. So I always seat the pads first before I put the tire back on.
And how do you do that?
We will push the brake pedal until I feel it nice and firm. We'll walk over the car. Push the brakes.
How many times do you push it about?
I only like to push it about halfway down. I don't like pushing any farther than normal brake, than how far you would normally apply brakes, until you feel it nice and firm and tight. Once it feels nice and firm, your pads are seated. Your caliper's all the way out.
So back on over to the brake. Now what?
Now, if you notice, I don't have that movement anymore.
Oh yeah.
The movement is gone because the caliper pistons are now all the way out and seated. The brakes against them. Now I can still move the rotor okay, but it's not like it's binding. But a lot of that slop is gone now. Now all you have to do is put the tire back on. Take all my old pieces, put them back in here. Put the tire back on.
Always important to clean up as you go. Anything we should know about putting the tire back on?
Don't let it fall on top of you. What I do is I look at the lugs, look at these, get these spaced and nice. So if there's a little bit of an angle in there, you can see that. A little bit of an angle here. That way what I do is I lift it up.
So you pretty much just align it, right?
Yeah. Until it slides on.
So do you have some kind of compressor or torque machine to make sure it's on tight?
I don't. I'm going to tighten them the way they were when I took them off. But we'll be taking it in to get the tires rotated, and we'll have them torqued properly to ensure that they're torqued accurately.
And when should you do that?
As soon as you can.
Like within a day or so, or a week, or?
You can't get it done soon enough. You notice I'm doing a star pattern when tightening?
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that.
You should do a star pattern when tightening.
Why?
With 5 lugs. It ensures that you're not going to cause warpage to occur. If you ever put down a lid on a bowl, if you start pressing down here, the lid kind of warps as you work your hands around it. That's bad for steel. That warpage could be permanent. So you always go crossing star pattern. I see most plastics they'll go back to its original shape. Steel might not do that.
So you just hand tighten it as much as you can?
I hand tighten it first, so they're all about the same tightness. That ensures that the tire is down against the backing all the way around. There's no slop in the tire. Because what I don't want to do is put a lot of torque on it, on the transmission that's got this tire locked, because that can cause transmission damage. So now that I know it's seated, I'll lower this down a little bit.
What's that?
This is my jack, until the tire is down on the ground again. Not full weight, just enough so that now it won't move. Now I can tighten it. Now this is the lug nut that came with the car, the lug wrench that came with the car. So I'm just doing it the same tightness it was when I took it off. And I'm doing star pattern.
Putting a lot of weight in that.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. I always go back and check my first one to make sure it didn't loosen up. Now that I'm done, tire's tight, I can take it down the rest of the way.
That's it?
Now I'll show you where I place the jack, because that's important. Where I place this jack. Because if you don't put it in the right spot, you can cause damage to your frame. If you come down here and look way down here, you can't put it here. And this is plastic. Even though it might look good, it's not. It tells you on the jacking instructions to put on double reinforcement, which would be this piece right there. This is double reinforcement right there. So that will hold the weight of the vehicle. And that's the wall area right there is where you need to put that jack. Otherwise it could bend when you put the weight of the vehicle on top of it.